So everybody's upset about the Peloton commercial, and we're going to talk about it. What's up, everybody? Rivera here, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. Okay. So, I would tell you guys about the week I've had, but I'm not going to because it would make the haters happy. I will just tell you that I have had a rough week and a half, but we're getting past it and things are going to be better. And two of my good friends just stopped by my place and we hung out for a little bit. So I already feel better because when I see my friends, it reminds me that things are going a lot better than they are going wrong. So there's that. Then there's also Tim Dillon from the Tim Dillon Show, his podcast. He shouted me out, which if you don't know, I am a regular listener to the Tim Dillon Show. And I don't say that to bullshit anybody. I'm just a fan of his show. So when he shouted me out, I woke up to some of his fans hitting me up being like, Tim Dillon shouted you out. So Tim Dillon sent me, and so it was stuff like that, comments on my YouTube. So the people that are watching from Tim Dillon, thank you for watching and thank you for actually taking his recommendation and checking me out. I hope you like what you see here. If you don't, just unsubscribe. Don't tell me about it in the comments, because one thing that me and Tim Dillon have in common is that what we do ain't changing. So it's not like I'm suddenly gonna hear somebody say, I really wish you would do this more, and I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not even gonna lie to you and say, I'm gonna take that into account. The only thing that I'll listen to that anybody says is that you need to upload more, which I know I need to upload more, but God bless America. I wish I could tell you about the whole last week that has happened. It's just, I refuse to make the haters happy by detailing some of the stuff that's happened in the last week. I'll just tell you, it's been a rough one. But like I said, more good stuff happening in my life than bad stuff. So I'm going to concentrate on the good, forget about the bad. That's all behind me. It is what it is, and that's what happens. So the Peloton commercial, everybody's upset about the Peloton commercial because in the commercial, it's like a Christmas commercial and the guy ends up giving his wife, girlfriend, they don't say on the commercial, I don't think, they're just together, but he gives her a Peloton, which if you're not familiar with the Peloton, it's a really expensive stationary bike, cost around $2,000, maybe a little bit more, high end. The way they always shoot it is like, high end. There's several different programs, there's trainers that come with it. And, I'm so tired of people getting upset about stupid stuff like this. And it's not even about just the commercial. It's the fact that people were mad. One of the reasons people were mad was because the lady already appears to be in shape. And then she does this video blog. Like, that's what the commercial is she's like doing this video blog. And it kind of, gives the illusion of like a time lapse type situation. And in it, she doesn't appear to lose much weight or whatever. And it's like, that is something that's geared for people like me. Like, a lot of times that is what bothers me when I see like personal trainers advertising or different diet products advertising or like this fitness equipment advertising, is they always show these before and afters where it's like this really big person, really out of shape person, and then it shows them in amazing shape. Well, what about the people that are already in good shape and just want to take it to that next level? Like, you don't know what she looks like under that shirt. Sometimes people look at me and they're like, you look great right now. And I'm like, yeah, if I take my shirt off, it's not great. It's good, but it's not great. And I like to be at great. So sometimes I like something that gives me a little motivation. It's just people always act like, if you're skinny and you don't eat well, then you're a terrible fucking person. But if you're fat and you don't eat well, people like that. And it's just because it makes them feel good about themselves. They're eating just as unhealthily as I am. And I would say even more so because they're eating in larger quantities and stuff that isn't necessarily the best for them. But it just makes people feel better to look at fat people than it does to look at thin people. So it's easy for people to attack someone like me and be like, well, you must have an eating disorder. Well, we've been over that. And technically, I probably do. But what do I care at this point? I just accepted that maybe I do have an eating disorder, or at the very least, I have an unhealthy relationship with food. And that's just what it's going to be. I've come to peace with that. Don't body shame me. Don't body shame this bitch, because I don't want to be fat, and that's what it is. I don't mind if other people are fat. I don't ask the people that I date be the same size that I am, and I'm not trying to shame anybody if they're not. There's a few people that would tell you I would, but if you ask me if you look fat, and you look fat, I don't feel like I'm a good friend or boyfriend or partner if I don't tell you that you look fat. Like, yeah, that's what it is. Like, you know, I'll even take it a step further and tell you you don't just look fat, you are fat. But still love you. Doesn't change that I love you. I think the doctor went a little crazy on the Botox this time, because if you look, I'm kind of spocky. Maybe I don't look spocky to you guys. I don't know. I feel kind of spocky, but that's it. It is what it is. I'll just tell the doctor to go easy next time. Plus, I got an appointment to go see the doctor soon anyway that's gonna, like, they say there's something they can do about it now, so I don't know what exactly they do, but we'll see what it is they do. Maybe I'll just leave it. I mean, like, Botox lasts 3 to 4 months anyway, so, you know, and slowly it goes back to regular anyway, so it's like, do I really have to have something done about it? For right now, I still get Botox because I don't like this crease that shows up in my forehead sometimes, and well, let's not talk about that. Anyway, people are also talking about Pete Davidson. He has a non-disclosure agreement now at his shows, and, you know, Pete Davidson, I've met him one time. He showed up at a show that I was doing I didn't produce it or anything. I was just on the show. And it was at the Hollywood Improv in the Lab. And this was a couple years ago. And he went way over his time. And he was a nice enough guy off stage. But I just don't feel like no matter who you are or what you're doing, you should really go over your time like that. It's just disrespectful to the other comedians. And it just put everybody, so now we're going up later. And I get you're on Saturday Night Live, but to me, Saturday Night Live isn't even that good of a show. And so, but I get how this business works, so I'm not gonna pretend like I don't know how it works. But I think also you don't necessarily have to take advantage of that all the time, or especially in a disrespectful way. If you go a little over your time, fine. But he really went over his time. And I am a person that practices what I preach when it comes to that, because a lot of places I go, people will actually let me go longer if I want to, or they'll allow me the privilege of bumping other comedians, which if you don't know what bumping is, that's where you walk in and there's, you know, like order the way the lineup is supposed to go. And they'll be like, you know, if you want, you can go up right now. That's bumping somebody. If I go in and they ask me if I want to go up right now, then I'm bumping the other comedians. And you can ask anybody that knows me, a lot of times, unless I'm preparing for something that's big, I'm not going to bump people. And I always ask people, you know, what everybody else is doing. You know, as far as time-wise, I'll ask the person that runs the show, I'll be like, how much time is everybody doing? Because there are plenty of people that are like, just go up and do as long as you want. But I'm like, no, how much time is everybody else doing? And if they're like, you know, everybody's doing 7 minutes, everybody's doing 10 minutes, everybody's doing 5 minutes, then I'll be like, okay, then I'm going to do what everybody else is doing, because it's bad enough that I have to bump you. And sometimes there is a legitimate reason to bump people. And when Pete Davidson came into the Improv that day, I didn't have a problem with him bumping me, you know, because he bumped the whole show, and I get it, he's on Saturday Night Live. But if you're gonna bump everybody, cool, but just stick to your time, or at least be respectful. And so he has this non-disclosure agreement where he's making it so people can't record his shows, which that I get. I personally don't care about that anymore. You know, it is what it is. People are going to once in a while take out their cameras. And in a lot of cases, people don't end up uploading it anyway. I don't know what people do with this footage. It's just personal memories, I guess. But a lot of times, nothing comes of it anyhow. So it's like, why do you really care? And also, like, all that stuff does at this point is just make you bigger. Like, it's not a bad thing to me. But I get it. I'm not trying to say that's a bad thing that Pete Davidson doesn't want people to record him. But if you pay attention to the non-disclosure agreement, and that's what a lot of people are upset about, is he also has in there that you're not allowed to discuss the show afterwards. You're not allowed to blog about it. You're not allowed to post about it. And it's like, come on. Are you really doing top secret material like that? And if you feel that terrible about what you're doing, or like is that inflammatory, maybe you shouldn't be doing it. You know, I mean, like I said, if you don't want to have people record it, voice record it, or video record it, I 100% respect that. And I 100% respect your right to say, I don't want this to be recorded. And that's the only thing that's annoying about it. With me, it's not the material I'm worried about, like people recording or anything at this point. The only thing that gets on my nerves is it does get annoying when somebody's just holding their camera like that while you're performing. It's like, you're kind of a creep right now. I mean, like, if I were to go to your job and, like, just record you while you're doing it, you wouldn't feel sort of like, okay, why are you recording me right now while I'm just being the cashier at Target? I'm not saying you guys are the cashier at Target, but one of you might be. And that would be creepy, right? If I just showed up and was, like, recording you doing what you're doing. But it is what it is. People are mad at Pete Davidson, and I blame you because, you know, about a year ago, around Christmas time, maybe a little after, Pete Davidson had said he was going to kill himself, or alluded to the fact that he was going to kill himself, and the whole internet came out and was like, don't kill yourself, Pete, we love you. See, you're the one that got in the way of that. If you would just let him do what he was going to do, he wouldn't have killed himself anyway. You know, because a lot of times when people say that, they don't even mean it. Like, I'll tell you what I think should have happened when Pete Davidson said he was going to kill himself. They should have showed up. They should have 5150'd his ass like they would anybody else, thrown him in the clink for a little while so that he could get his head right, because he might be a danger to himself or others. And then that would have fixed his ass from pulling that one again. I have a friend that did that. He's a comedian, actually. I won't say his name. Not that you would know it anyway. Not being catty. You just wouldn't. But one time several years ago, he told another comedian friend of ours that he was going to kill himself. And that comedian ended up calling the police right away because he was genuinely scared for him. And so he called the police. The police went and literally busted down his door, took him to jail for a day. Well, not jail, but, you know, they put you in the psych unit of jail. So, yeah, jail. But yeah, they put him under psychiatric evaluation and they checked him out. And since then, he may have thought about killing himself, but he hasn't gone on the phone with anybody about it. And you could say that, you know, people should be able to do a cry for help. But if you do a cry for help and somebody calls the police because they're like, bitch, I thought you were serious. I know I was trying to save your life. If you ask me, you should send me a thank you note. But as far as I go, snitches get stitches, so let bitches be bitches. Yeah, so I think that's what should have happened with Pete Davidson. People should have just not encouraged him in any way. He still wouldn't have killed himself. Like I just said, I'm not saying that Pete Davidson should have killed himself, but he would have realized that you can't get attention every time you say something on the internet. And he didn't put it on the internet, actually. It was people going to his shows that, you know, ended up finding out about the non-disclosure agreement, because obviously they were going to have to sign it. And then they were up in arms about it, and they made a big thing, but who cares? I mean, when we're actually talking about Pete Davidson's comedy, then I'll be willing to pay attention. But right now, while we're talking about him, you know, back in the day, a year ago, they were talking about him dating Ariana Grande. Then they were talking about him dating Kate Beckinsale. Then they were talking about him threatening to kill himself. And it's just like, let's get known for what we're supposed to be known for here, Pete Davidson, which is supposed to be the comedy. That's what you're supposed to be known for. Not the NDA, not any of that stuff. You're supposed to be known for comedy. So when I start hearing about Pete Davidson's special on Netflix that's fucking so crazy good that you can't help but watch it, then I'll pay attention to Pete Davidson. But as long as you're trying to get attention for antics outside of comedy, and yes, I said trying to get attention because that is what you're doing, even though he put out a statement on, I don't know what, if it was a newspaper, but I heard where he put out this statement where he said that, he doesn't even have the internet anymore. That's a lie. Because people say the worst things about him on the internet. And it's like, well, then stop being famous. I hate when people act like they have to be famous. Really, Pete Davidson could go on the road without an NDA and just be a regular road comic and not have to worry about anything. But he chooses to stay on TV and stay in the public eye. So enjoy what you do, Pete Davidson. Stop acting like everybody's supposed to feel sorry for you all the time. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode, let's call it. It's a short one. The last one I did was like 40 minutes and then life just got crazy. I've also been on the road since that happened, since the last one, quite a bit. I was on the road when I posted it. I just shot it here and then edited it, which I did almost no editing on that one because I wanted the message to actually come through. But, I've been working. And then I had other stuff going, so I haven't been posting, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys and say I'm gonna post more because I've said that before and then it ends up being sporadic anyway. So let's just all hope I post more and I won't make any empty promises. This has been Ty Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world.